Favorite isn't so much like a verse as it is the whole book. It's actually from the extended edition, like the director's cut.
Don't say a second century Gnostic gospel. Don't say a second century Gnostic gospel.
It's called the Infancy Gospel of Thomas. It was written between the years 180 and 200, which would make it like the youngest book in the Bible, but just for some perspective, the book of Matthew came out in roughly like the year 180.
This is wrong for two reasons. First, the youngest books in the New Testament are the various letters from Paul. These are usually dated around 20 years after the death of Christ or in the 50s AD. Second, the idea that Matthew was not written until 180 is insane. Virtually no scholars date it that late. Scholars debate when the book of Matthew was written, with some putting it pre-70 AD and some putting it more around the 80s or 90s. And while there is disagreement on when in the first century it is written, there is pretty much no disagreement on that it was written in the first century.
It was ultimately rejected because scholars generally agreed it just made for like, a real uncomfy depiction of Jesus.
It was rejected because it came about 150 years after the death of Christ and directly contradicted the much earlier New Testament documents which were written when eyewitnesses were still alive. These later Gospels were almost immediately rejected by the early church fathers as fakes and forgeries, and this is what scholars today widely recognize.